gacchami. Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam gacchami. Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam gacchami. Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam gacchami. Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam gacchami. Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam gacchami. Buddham sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangham sharanam gacchami. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami.
Dumba Jumden de Jen Java da Jumba Yandaba Zobe Zanje Rigba da Jamsu Demba Devara Jeva Jigden Jemba Jebu Dube Galo Jorwa Lana Meba Lada Menamje Dumba Zanje Jumden de Bejawa Jaja Duba La Jaze Lo Chodo Jazo Che Ho Dumba Jumden de Dejen Shekwa Dajumba Yandaba Zobe Sanje Rigwa Dan Shabsu Temba Dewara Sheba Jigden Kimba Kibu Dube Galo Yurwa Lana Meba Lada Menamje Dumba Sanje Jumden de Bejawa Jaja Duba La Jaze Lo Jodo Jazo Che Ho Dumba Jumden de Deshin Shekwa Dajumba Yandaba Zobe Sanje Rigba Dan Jamsu Demba Dewara Shekwa Jigden Kemba Kibu Dube Kalu Gyurwa Lana Meba Lada Menamje Dumba Sanje Jumden de Pejawa Shaja Duba La Jaze Lo Jodo Jazo Che Ho Sanje Chudan Soji Chonama La Changju Bado Dane Jazo Che Dage Chushe Jibe Sonama Je Dola Penje Sanje Dubara Sho Sanje Chudan Soji Chonama La Changju Bado Dane Jazo Che Dagi Joshe Gibe Sonama Je Dola Penje Sanje Dobara Sho Sanje Chudan Soji Chonama La Janju Bado Dane Jabzo Je Dagi Joshe Gibe Sonama Je Dola Penje Sanje Dobara Sho Good morning and welcome back to this class, and I hope that you are finding something beneficial, at least something a little bit from all your effort and your commitment to attend these classes. Because just recently I was reminded that Geshe Atenla has already taught the Bodhicaryavatara, and so it's not the person is not attending the class. So I really hope that you are finding something useful, even though when it comes to listening to dharma, that is not the attitude. That, I have received this teaching before, I have heard this before, so I no longer need to listen to it again. That is not the attitude. But, of course, including myself, we tend to have this tendency that once you have listened to a particular teaching, you don't need to listen to it again. So when it comes to Dharma teaching, unlike conventional talks, you need to listen again and again. And I find from my own experience that the more you read, the more you listen, every time you get something different. And you wonder, how come I didn't hear this before? How come I didn't get this? I didn't see this. Whereas when it comes to normal conventional readings, let's say storybooks, that's it. You read one time and you are done with it. Even when you read again, you may find some new details, but that doesn't really help you in a greater way. But when it comes to Dharma, it is different. So when we have this kind of tendency or attitude, that shows that our goal is something else. Our goal is not really to practice. Our goal is really chasing after new things, more exotic things. It's like we are collecting antiques. Those who like to collect, those collectors, they go after every new piece or items. So it is their goal. Their goal, primary goal, is to collect as many as possible. But if we are having this kind of same attitude, then I believe that that is a wrong attitude. But of course, there are certain situations whereby you chase after this. So that's when people like some of the Rinpoches, they chase after this because they wanted to preserve the lineage. Some of the lineages are on the verge of extinct. They are dying, the lineage is dying. So they must preserve this. So they must go and find new teachings, new lineages, so that they can pass and then there will be a continuation. But for individual people, if it is really to bring transformation, because the whole purpose of listening to Dharma teaching is to bring in inner transformation. Remember, we covered this topic before. The term Dharma, the term Che, is to transform in a positive way, to better ourselves. But listening to Dharma talks year after year, and if instead of transforming into a better person, but if we transform into more negative person, more egoistic, a person who is inflated with arrogance and pride because you have acquired greater knowledge in Dharma, then that's not the purpose. That's not that kind of defies the whole purpose of studying Dharma. So if you are after new, rare, exotic teachings, then I'm sorry to say that I'm not the person. I don't have anything exotic to teach. I teach the text that I feel comfortable with, that I have confidence in teaching. And also I take into consideration that what would be more relevant to us in our life, whether we can integrate that teaching in our daily life, whether it is applicable for us beginners. So if you are after something new, then you have to wait for a new teacher. So here what we are trying to do is, I'm introducing this, not really introducing, teaching the same thing, so that you can apply, you can instantly use that and then bring changes. So since at the moment, since you are stuck with me, so I suggest that even though you have listened this before, you have received this teaching before, but make it different by kind of making a determination that, yes, I have listened to this talk before, but this time, every session, I'm going to find a way to apply that into my life. From one session, if you are not able to apply all the stanzas, let's say if I cover 10 stanzas, 10 verses in one class, at least you resolve to put at least one stanza in your life. Make that your goal of each class. Then at least it is not wasted. At least you have listened to the same topic in a different way. Please do that. Then I also feel that it has served purpose of repeating the same text. Otherwise, it would be waste. of your time, most importantly, because I know that Sundays are very precious, especially for working people. Monday to Friday you have to work. You hardly have time to run errands. You have only 2 days. Some people work on Saturday as well. So that leaves you only Sunday to do other things, other obligations. But still, you commit this time. And if you are not able to get anything from it, then I feel bad that I'm wasting your time. So I believe that if you make this kind of determination, that from each class, at least I'm going to get one thing to use, to apply this coming week, then with that kind of resolve, maybe we will be able to make a tiny progress, incremental progress. And of course, these teachings are not quick fix. You listen to one teaching and then you try one and then everything is solved. That were to happen, it would be wonderful. But that's not how it works. We have to be very patient. We have to be very persistent. We have to be very diligent. If we persist, if we are diligent, then we may be able to see some progress. So please keep that in mind. And now, on to the topic. So we already talked about the verse 2. So now let's go to verse 3. So here, what is Shantideva trying to do? Shantideva begins with the discussion on the negative effects of anger or hatred. So in Shantideva's text, there is no real distinction between hatred and anger. So it is used kind of a synonymous. But I think in English word, maybe there is a distinction. So here is mostly, I don't know, it's more of a hatred. Anyway, we will see as and when there is a distinction required, I will try to highlight. So here we are contemplating, we are trying to understand and reflect and understand the consequences, the negative consequences of anger. This is very important. Unless and until we realize the negative impact, we won't take any action. The moment we realize its negative consequences, how detrimental anger can be, hatred can be, how it can impact our life, this life as well as future lives, then we may consider doing something. Until then, we are oblivious to its negative impact. So that's why it is so important. Just to give you an example, like COVID, why some of us rush to get vaccination? Because we understand the negative impact, the detrimental effect, the lethal impact of COVID. We heard stories of people who died from COVID. We hear stories about people struggling in the ICU. So with that understanding, we don't want to get COVID. So that's why we try to get vaccination as soon as possible. So it's same here. Many of us, we don't spend much time reflecting on the negative consequences of anger or hatred and the positive or the advantages of patience, tolerance. So that's why we let ourselves under the influence of anger. So in the first two verses, Shantideva discussed the consequences, what is called the kind of invisible, because it talks about destroying the virtue, which of course it is hard to see with our own eyes. But here, Shantideva now goes into visible and immediate effects of hatred. Shedang sungwe sem changna yini shiwa nyame nyung gadang tewang metubla nimi wangshin teme gyur. My mind will not experience peace if it fosters painful thoughts of hatred. I shall find no joy or happiness. Unable to sleep, I shall feel unsettled. So the analogy used in the commentary is somebody who has an arrow in the body. So I think for our purpose we will use a gun, a bullet. So if somebody was shot and if the bullet is still lodged inside, so there is no peace, there is no joy, there is constant discomfort, if not pain. And not only pain and discomfort, it can lead to more complications. It will first get infected, and then that will give rise to more complications. So anger or holding hatred is similar to having a bullet lodged in our body. As long as we have anger, as long as anger arises within us, our peace of mind will be destroyed. Let's say if you are so happy in the morning, and then something angered you, you became angry over something, that peace of mind, that calmness is gone, is destroyed. You are no more in that state of peace and serenity or calmness. So that's why it says, my mind will not experience peace. Who says that I'm so peaceful that I'm angry? Most people will say that my peace of mind was destroyed because he angered me, she angered me. That is our tendency to point fingers at somebody else. But that person does not have the control over us whether or not our peace of mind be destroyed. No matter what the other person do, but if we are able to remain steadfast, fast, and calm. Nothing can destroy our peace of mind. But somehow we have this notion that that person destroyed my peace of mind, as if that person has the power to do so, as if we are under the other person's control. So that's why patience is so important. That's why understanding the negative consequences of anger is so important. When we realize, when we have this understanding at the conviction level, we all do have some degree of understanding of the negative impact of anger, but it is under that conviction level. Because of that, we have no hesitation to get angry. And even after we had the episode, we don't feel, many of us don't feel remorse or regret. But when you arrived at that level, at the conviction level, then nothing can affect us. We will be able to remain steady because we know what happens when we give in to anger. I shall find no joy or happiness. That's so true. Unable to sleep, I shall feel unsettled. I think we all underwent such experiences, whether it be your colleague, your partner, someone else, whoever. When you hold this hatred, hold this anger. So anger may not, rise up to holding this ill intention, whereas hatred is associated with ill intention, getting even with that person. So when we have this hatred, our mind will be constantly, we will be consumed by thought of revenge. We will be consumed by how to retaliate, how to get even with that person, how to harm that, how to give a proper response or reply to that person. So because of these unceasing thoughts, we will be unable to sleep. Before going to bed, get yourself in that kind of rage and then try to sleep. Can you sleep? Especially if the person is someone whom we consider as our enemy. Sleep is hard to come by. But the irony is, while we are struggling to sleep, the other person may be snoring, having a sound sleep. So that's why the common phrase is like holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. So if you want the other person to die, you have to make sure that the other person drinks the poison, isn't it? Not you. But here, when it comes to holding grudge or anger against another person, we suffer. So this is very relevant. Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. Obviously, this is attributed to Buddha. That's so true. So here it says, I shall feel unsettled. So unsettled not necessarily mean anger, not necessarily mean hatred, but there is this feeling of dissatisfaction, this nagging feeling that something is not right. We feel that. So it doesn't have to be a very harsh or very strong treatment from another person. So let's say if you send out a message and that person responds in a negative way, but is not so direct, but you can sense that there is something there. So that does not make you angry or hold hatred. It does not give rise to hatred. But after reading that, there is some, discomfort, some nagging feeling that something is not right. So that's what happens. We will discuss that later, it will appear. So this reminds us of the importance of being mindful. Remember, we talked about it. If we are able to be mindful all the time, then we have a choice how to respond. Most of the time, we react, especially anger. Our anger is really a reaction, reactive emotion. It's a reaction to some harsh criticism or something that we consider to be inappropriate or an insult. Then we react. We don't respond. I told you this before. So if we are able to be mindful, you will be surprised that how much time you have to respond. Of course, I am not mindful most of the time, but sometimes when I was able to be mindful, I can have the time to have this inner dialogue, inner debate. Should I not? Shall I say this or think? Then what is the point? If I respond to that, if I don't respond to that, does it, is it a matter of life and death? Will it make the whole world collapse? No, you can always choose to remain quiet. Keep your mouth shut. No need to respond. So it was very surprising that on the one hand you feel that when we encounter what is called the stimuli, when we encounter something else, it's like there's no time but to react. But if the mindful is at the play, then there is time. You can debate. First of all, should I respond or not? If I should respond, how should I respond? There is time. You will be surprised. Try that. So whether we are able to, get ourselves free or freedom from the clutches of hatred and anger, mindfulness is the key. Always remembering. So that's why what I'm suggesting is that when you go through these verses, choose one, whichever you find it, whichever it makes more sense to you. And then choose that as your practice for the week. And then, maybe you can memorize that line. And from the morning, make the decision, make the resolve that today I will apply this. I will be mindful. I will never let my peace of mind destroyed by somebody else. If you really feel that you are superior, because we always have this notion that I am superior, that's why we get insulted. That's why we take offense when somebody says something nasty, because we feel that we are more superior than the other person. How dare you call me this? How dare, that means like, you are there, I'm here, I'm up there, how dare you call me this? So, now what was my train of thought is affected. I don't know what I was getting at. So anyway, so you choose a stanza and then make the resolve and then try to apply. So these are additional negative impacts. Kanda norda kurdi chinjin tela tenjuruba teda kyani tangdembe jeben tela soba gul teyin zashi gyorajur chimbe duyan teme je. So this is additional. Not only it will destroy your peace of mind, it will also other factors that are required, that are essential for a happy life. Of course, there are certain factors that can contribute to the happiness of our life. Of course, it's not a must thing, but like if you have wealth, that helps, that can contribute to one's happiness depending on your attitude. And good health can definitely contribute to our happiness. And then, most importantly, companion, friends, entourage, a circle of friends. As we are a social being, we need our friends, we need others. So these, when you have anger, it affects, negatively impacts having these factors that can contribute to a happy life. So this is about, let's say, a master who has hatred is in danger of being killed, even by those who, for their wealth and happiness, depend upon his kindness. It is so detrimental that those people whom you expect to treat you well, to whom you have helped so much, those people who should be indebted in your kindness, they can even hurt you, cause harm to you because of your anger. You have all worked in the in your workplace. You have gone through different bosses. Do you appreciate a boss who has a temper, who gets angry easily? Nobody So if the boss treats you really badly because of his anger, sometimes this thought of killing arises. And I think there are cases where murder occurred because of such. And then we need help all the time, especially when you are age. You need assistance. But if you are an angry person, if you are so irritable, nobody wants to serve you. Nobody wants to look after you. So that's why I always admire Gengindun. He is already over 100 years old, but so easy to take care of him. It looks like he has no ego at all. He is the most senior monk amongst Gyutu monks here and in India. And he was the main person who really built the center here. And for how many years he worked. And then when a new monk comes and gives you an order, you get up, you move here, you go there, you eat this, you do this. If you have an ego, that will clash. And then, it will be very unpleasant. But in Gengindun's case, no matter whoever the monk giving orders to him, asking him to do this and that, he complies without any complaint, any grudges. So that's why the monks are so happy to serve him. It's so easy. Normally when people get old, they tend to become a bit grouchy. They grumble for no real reason. So my point here is that anger is not a helpful emotion. It will get us trouble all the time. In your youth, in your old age, in terms of getting friends, in terms of getting success, even business. When you have this temper issue, nobody wants to engage or do business with you because you become unpredictable. For business people, they want a certain degree of predictableness, predictability. In India, I think Tibetans would know. In India, Tibetans' main income is from this winter sweater business. Around September, then they have to get ready for this winter business. It's 3 to 4 months business. So that's their main source of income. So many of them need to hire helpers, the Indian helpers. So some get helper very easily, some struggle. They may come for this year, but they may not come the next year. So it's such a stressful kind of a endeavor for many of those Tibetans, just searching for a good helper. But those who continue to come to the same owner is because the same owner is so kind, treat them well, no anger issue. Those who refuse to come back is because they were not well treated. All the time angry. So you see, even if as trivial as finding a helper, anger plays an important role. And then it says, and also anger, here we were talking about is mostly is a master who has hatred, is danger of being killed even by those who are, so those helpers. Of course, we call maids or servants or whatever you call that. But this can apply to our family members. Out of anger, we commit or we harm, we cause harm to those who have been so dear to us. Our parents, our relatives, and even our teachers. So this is all because of losing our temper. It is all because we gave in to anger. Things that you cannot imagine, even in your wildest dream of doing it, can happen when you are angry. And how many people go to jail because of rage, because they did something stupid in the moment of anger. So it is important to bring in from your own experience. I think you have more experience. You have worked for years. So you have dealt with many people. You have numerous encounter with variety of people. So bring all that experience and then try to gain that conviction. Arrive at that conclusion with conviction that anger is never ever good. It is always a troublemaker. We need to first get that clear. When we see that, then we will try to do something. It is like if you have a poison in your house, you will try to get rid of that because you know the consequences. You know the ramifications. So we should have similar attitude when it comes to anger, because that is the one that destroys our peace of mind. That is the one that destroys our relationship. How many relations are stained because of one moment of anger? By it, friends and relatives are disheartened. They get disheartened. So if you are an angry person, if you are a short-tempered person, then I think your relatives or your family members will be embarrassed. Not just embarrassment, it destroys that, what do you call that, the calmness in the house. Remember, I always used to paint this picture. Let's say the father, the husband, is the one who has anger issues. When he is out, they are so, happy. And then the moment that guy enters, the silence dawns. Everybody is quiet. There is no more that cheerfulness because everybody is scared to trigger the person's anger. Imagine how detrimental that is, especially if you have children, for them to grow in that kind of environment. Though drawn by my generosity, they will not trust me, no matter how generous you are, no matter how much help you offered, you render to them. But they won't be your good friends. They will always feel some discomfort just because you have the anger issue. So that's above until this Shantideva is discussing on the negative effects of anger. So when we talk about getting rid of anger, we are not saying that we should suppress our anger. There is a difference. Suppressing, then there's a danger because you are not giving any reason for that. Just like you shouldn't, you should not, you must. But when you think the reasons why it is not good to have, then it provides you an avenue to breathe, avenue to let it out. And then here the Shantideva is mainly, later we will come, mainly identifying the cause. What gives rise to anger? What gives rise to hatred? So getting to the root of anger, that's how we regulate anger. That's how we manage our anger. So this is all about reorienting ourselves to become less prone to strong reactive emotions, which I mentioned before. At the moment, our tendency is to react to situations. So now we reorient ourselves. Instead of reacting, we train ourselves to respond. So of course, this requires disciplining our mind. That requires training. But through training, it is possible. So recently, after witnessing Geshe Atinla's this 24 days of meditation, it kind of renewed my own faith in Dharma practice. When you see a person, perform such a feat, then you get kind of reaffirmed your belief, your faith, that, oh, actually, these are true. It is matter of whether one put effort in practice or not. If one really takes these practices seriously and commit to these practices, then it is possible to witness, to experience the results. It is not something elusive that you never, get there. That's why we talk about sangha when it comes to three jewels. Remember, sangha is the one that inspires us. We need sangha because sanghas are the one who embark on this journey and attain these realizations. So when you see those Arya beings, so here sangha in Tibetan, this term is the sangha refers to, when it comes to three jewels, it refers to those Arya beings, those beings who have achieved the path of seeing, those who have achieved, what do you call, beyond the path of seeing and beyond, those who have that kind of, those who have achieved direct realization into emptiness. So those are Arya beings. So they are called sangha. But the other sangha, the other times we refer to sangha is to ordained monks. But I see here in the West that it is very freely used to practitioners, general like center members. So you need to understand that this is different. So when you attend His Holiness teaching, they have allocated different areas. So you have one area that is labeled as foreigners. And then there is a huge area that is reserved for sangha members. So if you think that you are sangha and go and sit there, you will be chased away. So that sangha is for monks, for ordained people, not a person who belongs to a center, those who goes to center. So I think over here you may use that, but you have to be careful when you go out in Tibetan community. Maybe you have already sat in that allocated place thinking that, oh, this is for sangha, I'm sangha. You are not. Benefit of practicing patience. So now we come to extolling the patience. So this anger and patience is like poison and medicine. So anger is like the poison. As long as we have poison in there, we can never experience peace. So in order to counter that, we need to take medicine. And the medicine that can tackle, that can counter that poison, the poison of anger, is the medicine of patience. So patience, here it says, oh, am I missing something here? I don't see maybe it's, let's see, yeah, I think there's one more which I think I jumped. Oh. Looks like I have left out one stanza which says, Dona Tove Terneba Tiningayang Yumai, Tove Tai Telaso, Tunye Tani Chabajos. Now Shantideva summarizes. So I think it's not here. Shantideva summarizes the faults, the flaws of anger, or the damages incurred by anger. So it says, in short, Tove Terneba. So in short, there is no happiness that results from anger. So we have discussed in length. So teni gayang yomaye, chobe tayi telaso, tonye tani, chebar choose. So in short, anger is harmful in this life as well as in future life. In this life, if we are aspiring to gain a happy life, as discussed before, the factors that give rise to a happy life is affected, negatively impacted by anger. And then when we talk about beyond this life, remember, there is no evil like anger. Other afflictions are damaging, are detrimental, but not as damaging and detrimental as anger. Because anger not only results in unpleasant experiences, but it also destroys the virtue that give rise to pleasant experiences. And then with anger, there's no way we can practice generosity. With hatred, no way we can practice generosity. Remember, we discussed that generosity must come from wanting to help the other person. When you have hatred, no way there is this ill intention accompanied with that. And then, in order to practice Mahayana paths, the bare minimum or the core of Mahayana practice is the practice of compassion, especially great compassion. So great compassion involves all sentient beings. So when you are holding grudges against someone, that is not what you call, that does not, there's no way you can generate a great compassion because you have to exclude that person. Then without compassion, no way you can cultivate bodhicitta. Without bodhicitta, no way achieving enlightenment. Achieving, seeking, pursuit of enlightenment becomes elusive. You will never get there. And then even if you are able to generate or develop bodhicitta, but one needs to engage in these practices of six perfections. So ethical discipline, how can we engage in the practice of ethical discipline? Ethical discipline is based on non-harm, not harming others. That is the core, that is the base. In order to restrain ourselves from harming others, we take vows. We engage in these ethical disciplines that I will not engage in this and this and that because it involves harming other people. Go through the 10 noble virtues. It's all because it involves other person, harming other persons, killing definitely, stealing definitely, sexual misconduct. Then when it comes to the four of the speech, there is always involvement of hurting another person. So no way we can practice the ethical discipline. And generosity I've already mentioned. And then if you really want to help something, who will accept your help? Or how can you help another person when you have this anger issue. That's why Tibetan term is shedang, kongdo shedang. Shedang is like there's this effect of what you call the repulsion, is it? Repulsiveness. The way the magnet, when you use the, what you call the negative, negative or positive, positive, it kind of throws away. So when you have anger, somehow, it kind of throws you back. And others also likewise. Trove tayi tela so tunye tani chebra jurus. So in short, anger gives rise to suffering, pain, unpleasant experiences. So for that reason, we need to find a way either to eradicate completely, if not, at least to curb that, to minimize that, to reduce that. I think we will stop here. So we have covered how many verses? Not many. So 1, 2, and then what that I verbally explained. So choose one of these, one of the three, and include in your morning meditation. If you do meditation, spend maybe 5 minutes just reflecting on the consequences, negative impact of anger. Draw in from your own experience and try to get that conviction. And when you arrive at that conviction, remain at that conviction as long as possible. Or let me rephrase this way. So draw in from your own experience and try to get this conviction that yes, anger is not good, anger is detrimental. And then, based on that conviction, make a strong resolve that today I will try my best not to be, what do you call, under the control of anger. I will try my best to be mindful, not to get angry or agitated. And then remain in that thought, that resolved for as long as you can. And then go about doing your daily chores or whatever you do. But during the daytime, as and when you remember, try to reinforce that. Try to remind yourself again and again. That way, it would be good. Okay, so that's all for today. And thank you very much. And you have a wonderful rest of the weekend. Let's say the dedication. Tage jinye zabe gyawa de tendang rowa kunla kangben dan gyabara chuzun losan tabayi Tembe Ningbo Ringdo Seje Sho Jambe Bawe Chedara Kemba Da Kundu Sangbo Tenyang Dejen Deda Gunge Jesu Talo Je Gyawa Deda Tamje Rabdu Ngo Tuzun Shekbe Gyawa Tamje Je Ngowa Kanla Chodo Ngaba De Dagi Gewe Zawa Degun Yang Sangbo Chuchi Rabdu Ngowa Gis. Oh, thank you.